This is Akudo, let the truth be told. I got vibes of grace, lighting up the dark.
I believe it would be processes and not necessarily
Okay.
tech. Because you can be given this advanced CRM with all the bells and whistles or advanced system or whatever it is. But if there's not a need for it or if there's not an understanding for it, you're not going to use it to the best of its ability, right? I have a friend who works for, I believe it's a property management company. So they actually had somebody from corporate sit with her and shadow her all day to see what her day-to-day looked like, because they're like, we're going to start implementing AI in our day-to-day with technology. Like we mentioned, it's a great tool. And looking back, my husband and I are able to talk and see, like, if technology was like this back then, how much more time would they have to have been able to wear all these other hats that they had that were important to them. And then from the nonprofit world, I went through, with my span of being with that agency, we went through, I believe it was 3 different CRMs, plus hard paperwork, and they were actually trying a 4th one.
Are you stuck with slow banks and no funding? Waiting weeks for a loan can sink your business. At Monify, we deliver MCF funding fast, up to $25 million in just 24 to 72 hours. A simple application, lightning fast approval, and money in your bank ASAP. Get back to growing and not waiting. Call Monify LLC today and get funded tomorrow. Texas businesses trust Monify. Will you? Don't wait, because funds go fast. So apply now at www.monify.com or call 1-800-608-0490. Monify, wealth born of character.
All right, guys, we're back again for a new one with someone special. And you guys are going to learn a lot today. Anyway, my name is Great Akudo, and I have a special guest for you today, Sarah Harper. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of her specialty, I just want to introduce you to this wonderful woman. She loves Jesus, which is the most important thing. If you don't know Jesus, you better get in line with it. She loves Jesus. She's been a wife for 2.5 years. She has 2 degrees. Do you see my hands? 2. Man, I hate studying. The only thing I love studying is business. But when it comes to just regular books like chemistry and physics, I love chemistry back in school, but I love physics back in school, but I hated chemistry. But here she is, getting 2 bachelor's degree, making us look like we're not serious with this thing, man. Come on, Sarah. Anyway, she has 2 degrees. One is in psychology, and the other is in, you guessed it, criminal justice. So I bet Sarah right now is just reading my mind. She's just trying to know what I'm thinking. That's a misconception we all have when we hear someone studies psychology, that when we're talking to them, they're just reading our minds or what. But anyway, Sarah also runs 2 businesses with her amazing husband. One is an AI for business type of company, and the other is a software company that complements CRM. You know, if you know anything about CRM, customer relations management system, I believe that's the long form of the word CRM. So without any further ado, I know I already said her name, but I would like you guys to put your hands together for Sarah Harper. Sarah, thank you for coming on the pod. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking. So before we get into the main questions, we want to know who you are. Who is Sarah? What is Sarah like? What is Sarah like? What do you like and what are you like? You know what I mean? And what don't you like? How did you get to this level you are right now? So take it from there. You could go from your childhood and fast forward it to now if you want to. But what makes you tick? What makes you special? We know you're special in a great way. Go ahead. Take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. As you mentioned, I'm a follower of Christ, daughter of the King, right? All those things. And so, growing up, we were always involved in ministry. I watched my parents be involved in ministry. And so that's something that is second nature to me, that I've been involved in for a really long time. And so naturally, when you're in high school and you're making those decisions of where to go to school, career to pursue, I always had a desire and passion for psychology. I was like, this is something I enjoy. If I can make money off of it, how, you know, how can I do that? And so that was
Okay.
my original plan with pursuing the psychology degree. I did have plans to go to grad school. However, halfway through
Mm-hmm.
my bachelor's degree, I kind of had a real life moment where I had a friend who was really going through it mentally. And that was when I realized that I couldn't do it. That wasn't something that I thought I could handle. So criminal justice was
Mm-hmm.
already my minor. So I went ahead and just added it as a second major. And that was more of what I was
Okay.
pursuing at the moment. And so throughout that time, I did work for different
Mm-hmm.
med spas, salons. I managed them, did sales, marketing
Mm-hmm.
specialists, things like that. Started out with reception. Before that, I had done some like events and administrative
Okay.
type of work as well. And so upon graduating, I actually worked for a foster care agency for a couple of years. I really loved that, but I was
Oh
on call
wow.
24/7. And then unfortunately, just in those roles, you're not getting
What?
paid
Yeah, is
the
worth.
best, right? And so I just had to transition from then. At that point, I had already met and then obviously got
Mhm.
married to my now husband. When we were dating, he had actually started Rare Form Agency. So next month will be 3 years that we'll be in
Oh
business. And
wow.
so I
Amazing.
actually didn't onboard until
Mhm.
February last year part time. And I've been full time since November. I was case managing prior to that, and then I did some contract
Right.
work for a couple months when I was part time with Fairform. And then our second LLC,
Mhm.
Integrate with AI in it. That's newer. I don't actually know the start date of that, but I know that it's been just
Okay.
a few
Okay.
months. So that's kind of been my journey. I'm definitely the type of
Mhm.
person that likes to plan. I have backups for my backups and
Wow.
all of that.
Smart.
With going through this journey and there being just kind of changes and some that were
Mhm.
kind of out of my control, that really allowed me to fully I mean, we can trust God, right? But putting that in action is another thing. And so
1000%.
that really helped grow me in that area of like really trusting Lord
Mhm.
with my career, finances, moves, and everything. So everything we do and operate, we give glory
I
to
love
Him
that.
first and foremost, and know that there's prayer. It's not just a service and a system. There's definitely
Definitely.
prayer involved as well. So I've led various volunteer and ministries and things like that in the past as well. That's what's taken up a lot of my time. I've mentored
Mhm.
things like that. Other than that, just like fun activities. I do like
Okay.
dancing.
Okay.
I used to
You
be
used
in
to be in
dance in
dancing
school, and
school?
then Latin
Oh
dancing's fun.
wow. Okay.
A little
Okay.
bit, yeah. So it's what I like to do. I like float in the river.
Do you like to read?
And yeah, I do.
What
Yeah,
do you like
I
to
like to
read?
read. So most of my stuff has honestly
Okay.
been
Okay.
spiritual
Okay.
growth type of
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, or mental health. I just have such a fascination with that.
So tell me a little bit about your upbringing, though. How many siblings you had, and you said you were always in ministry. So I'm assuming your parents are ministers, right?
They're not
Okay.
ministers full time per se. My dad is still
Oh
involved in
wow,
prison ministry. He's done that
that's
ever
very
since I was a
tough.
kid, maybe even before I was born. And then my mom, she's not she's involved more in like
Okay.
ministry at her church. And then she does
Oh,
hair.
okay.
And so she actually will make what is it called? She'll I can't think of the word. She accommodates older
Hmm.
clientele. Like maybe they can't
Hmm.
drive and stuff. And so she actually spends a lot more time. It's not just she cuts her hair and she's in and out.
Right.
She's spending time with them, praying with them when she's
Wow.
doing hair. She just feels like that's where, yeah. So that's not with an
Yes. Yes.
organization per se, but that's something that she really enjoys and she's been doing
Wow,
for the
that's amazing.
past five
No, I'm
years.
not just saying that's amazing because I'm trying to sound all, I'm not trying to speak Christianese on that. It's truly
Right,
amazing
right.
to mix her gift, her business with the ministry. She's impacting
Mm-hmm.
lives. She's breaking. She
Yeah.
doesn't even know that. Well, she knows it because she's doing it intently,
Mm-hmm.
but she's breaking a lot of curses, when she's doing those things that people don't even realize. You understand it because you're a spiritual
Mm-hmm.
person, but someone that's listening to us talk about it that's not spiritual is like, what the heck are they talking about? But that's amazing though, what she's doing. And the prison ministry thing, dang,
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
hard. That's hard. And how many siblings you have and what
Yes.
position are you in?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm one of six.
Oh, okay.
I'm number four and the
You're the
oldest
only girl?
girl.
Okay, oldest girl. Okay.
Oldest girl.
Okay. Nice, nice. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about your faith briefly, but you can
Mhm.
expand as much as you want. Okay. So tell me about
Okay.
your personal faith journey and how Jesus has influenced your life. Take it.
Absolutely. Like I said, my parents
Okay.
actually met at church. And so I've been in church my whole life. I always joke, like, before I was born, I've been in church, right? So, um, however, I will say my parents are not
Oh,
together
I got you.
anymore. And so, with that being said, the church that we were kind
Mhm.
of involved in, their doctrine was a bit, I'm
Mhm.
still non denominational, and that church
Same
was non
here.
denominational as well. Their principles were a little bit different. I will say too, my dad did come from like a
Oh,
Catholic background, but I actually went to a
okay.
free private school and they are
Oh,
very
wow.
Bible based. Like if they're doing church, chapel, Bible
Mhm.
class, anything like that, we're opening and going through Psalms and we're reading it verse by verse and going over what that means. And so I kind of had like I grew
Mhm.
up Christian, non-denominational, but it was kind of these two
I see what
different
you mean.
types
Yeah.
of non-denominational, if that makes sense. The school I attended, and then kind of the
Mhm.
more faith by works and maybe some like prosperity. I'm very charismatic, which
Of
doesn't
course
always
not.
have to be bad, but just kind of not just very different. And so that was the type of church
Mhm.
I was involved in for up until I graduated college, I'll say. I was heavily involved in ministry and all those things.
Wow.
Yeah. And so from then on, I actually had moved out of the city. And so I went to a church for a little bit because I knew I was going to move to a small town or a smaller town. And so I went there just a couple months until I got my
Mhm.
living situation settled. And then I literally, well, I got to that town and it was COVID. And so for about 3 months, I was like, I need to just try to figure out, put my head on straight.
Mhm.
What do I need to do? Because I have this understanding of like when I went to school in this very different
Mhm.
church that I grew up in, and seemingly they're the same, but then they're not. Like they were, I guess,
Mhm.
doctrine differences. And so it was a lot of me trying to figure out, okay, like who is God for me? Like I've been pursuing him and following him, but I feel like there's this lack or like I need to somehow bridge this gap here. And so I didn't go to church for like 3 months, obviously still pursuing Christ, just kind of like prayed and dwelled. And I was like, okay, I can't do this for too long, but let me get my head on straight essentially. And so I literally
Yeah.
Googled churches near me, went, and it was like the first 2 times I attended that church, it was super emotional. It was also COVID, so maybe it made it a little bit more dramatic. I hadn't
Right.
been in like a
Right.
church building in a little bit, like just feeling like it was
Right.
real,
You
like
were
a real
kind
church
of
service
missing it in a
in a long
way,
time.
the congregation part of
Yes.
it. I see.
Yes. And so very emotional. I got plugged into a young adults
Mhm.
ministry that they had there and they
Mhm.
welcomed me with open arms. I was able to ask questions. I didn't have to be heavily involved and be director of anything or leader of anything. I got to just sit back and really, really take in kind of, okay, who is God and what
Right.
does this actually mean in my life? And so they also welcomed questions, which was great. And they really were big on discipleship as well of like, hey, we're not called to do this life alone. And so I'm really grateful for that church. I'm still there. And that's how I ended up meeting my
So the
husband.
same.
We
Yeah.
weren't in the same group. We weren't in the same group, but we just eventually ended up meeting.
Amazing.
But
So basically,
yeah.
that's kind of, well, in a way, the way your parents met to it, right? In church. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes. And so
Mhm.
because that's how they met and it didn't work out, I always said I would
Oh.
never meet a person at church.
So that
But
hits
that
you differently. Oh man.
which
No, no, no. You have a
mhm,
choice. So you
yes.
have a choice to build together, right? Both of y'all, you and your
Mhm,
husband, had a
right.
choice to want to build this thing. And it doesn't matter what your parents went through or didn't go through. So you're good. You're good. And knowing that you guys have
Yes.
technically the same belief system or values, I would say values, growing up, seeing each other in the same church, growing up under the same message, I think it makes it a lot easier than, you said your dad came from a Catholic background. So there's a little bit of shift in the mindset, for lack of a better term. But I was going
Mhm.
to ask you this. So Do you have one of these crazy stories of people that grew up in church that went astray, or you've always maintained your, for lack of a better term, integrity and belief in Christ?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't say that there was a point where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in God or what. I always was, to the best that I knew how, I was always
Wow.
pursuing Christ. I will say there were
Mhm.
moments where I was angry, where I would wake up and my conversations would be like,
Oh,
why
oh.
am I here? Like I can't not believe in you because
Mm-hmm.
of my experiences, but I don't like
Mm-hmm.
like what do you want me to do? Like just very angry, very upset. Carried that for a little while. Or issues with, I mean, we all deal with like sin and maybe some
Mm-hmm.
backsliding
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So I think those were things of me trying to make sense of maybe purpose and maybe why certain things had happened and I didn't know why, just things like that. I definitely dealt with anger towards God or just anger in general. And then maybe, we all deal with sin,
Mm-hmm.
like sin here and there, but I always, it didn't matter how bad I felt like I messed up. I
Went back.
always, even if it was like next seconds, like I always was like, okay,
Huh.
God, I know that you restore and heal and redeem and all those things. And so that's always where I've
Right.
been when it
With
comes
him, with
to
the walk.
my walk for
And the
sure.
reason I asked you is because I also grew up in church and I don't have all these crazy stories, you know. Funny thing is that some people in church would ask you, when was the day you gave your life to Christ? That is the most important day. I
Hmm.
don't remember the particular day, but I do remember though that when I went to
Right.
college, I personally decided to stay in line with what I was taught, you know, in Christ. So
Hmm.
I had all these friends that would do all these crazy things, and I never did all these crazy things with them because, you know, I decided
Yeah.
my mom was not there and my dad was not there to tell me to go
Right.
to church or behave. So I don't have any of these crazy stories that some people have. They went astray or whatever. Even my pastor's kids are one of those crazy stories that I know of for sure. They went astray, and obviously,
Wow.
maybe now they're coming back to the Lord. You know,
Yeah.
I was just curious to know if you
Absolutely.
had that encounter as well or experience. I would
Yeah.
say good to know. Now
Yeah.
let us go to your specialty when it comes to business. So we're going to talk about AI, automation, systems, things like that. So let's start with
Sure.
automation. How do automation and systems contribute to business efficiency? And can you share a real life or real world experience or example where automation made a dramatic impact, of course, in the business? Take it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to automation, we always recommend any repetitive or redundant
Hmm.
tasks that you have. So, for instance, you and I have had meetings, right? And you've received my nice little
Yes.
automated text
Yes.
and email reminder saying ours is personally is set up like in you have an
Yes.
appointment in 30 minutes or day prior, however your business needs, right? And so that's a perfect way that you can implement automation, especially if you
Hmm.
are taking leave. It's as simple as like even on your emails,
Yes.
right? It has a I'm going to be out from this date to this date, and it'll send that
Yes.
automatic email. It can be as simple as that or very like, okay,
Yeah.
when this form is filled out, this email will get triggered and, having workflows and automations that are super
Okay.
intricate.
That's
So, yeah, when it comes to automation, like our goal here is to be able to put efficient and effective processes in place for businesses so that they can focus on what's important. I love how we opened up on kind of what
yeah.
was our, like
Yeah.
who we
Yeah. Yeah.
are and our core values. I always try to tell people, like, it may just seem like a system or it may just seem like AI, but the bigger picture here is your time, peace of mind, so that you're able to do things like ministry, focus
Right.
on family,
Right.
helping care for family or friends, things like that. Our goal, I was on call 24/7. My
Hmm.
husband was on call 24/7 when
Hmm.
he worked for corporate America. And so our goal has really been to how can we kind of shift that culture that we have here? I don't know if do you remember the whole like
Yes.
workflow with the selfie that people used to take?
Oh, yes.
That which is great, and, like, hustle culture,
Yes.
that is great for seasons, but the longevity of
Is
that
not.
is not there. And if you even look at European culture, they don't have all these to-go cups. You sit down, you're personal, you're present. And I think that that's a lot of the misconstrued kind of idea
Mm-hmm.
of AI right now, or
Mm-hmm.
it's new, right? We don't always like what's not known, and so I think they say like, oh, it can be impersonal or whatever, but it's like, well, if you get a text reminding you of our appointment, that helps you remember and actually show
Absolutely.
up, and then that helps me instead of being like, let me make sure I text him and then or I forget, I'm able to focus
Right.
on other things, whether it's what's important in my business or what's important in my home life. And so I think that does allow for more human interactions because
That's a
of
good
efficient processes.
man. You see what I say? That perspective is reality. So that's a very good way to see it. Instead of assuming that AI takes you away from human connection or interactions, you're saying that it
Mhm.
actually helps. It could help you spend more time because it's taking care of all those redundant tasks that you could have been doing physically. And now you can use that time to spend with people you love or whatever
Yes.
you want to do, right?
Yes, absolutely. Especially if, let's say, you're
Uh-huh.
in an office working face to face with clients, you're not having to be like, "Oh, let me reschedule so and so," or "Let me send confirmation text manually,"
Mm-hmm.
which I've done before when I was
Mm-hmm.
starting my professional career. You can be face to face and present with that client,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge. You can get them taken care of, improving client satisfaction, and then that to me that's more valuable, right? You're making that actual in-person connection while everything else is
Right.
running and taken care of.
Word to the wise. That's beautiful. Now, the second question would be,
Mhm.
what are the biggest myths and misconceptions about automation that you often encounter?
Ooh, let's see. I think
You
I
did
covered this a
actually.
little bit. Um,
Yeah, you did. You did. You kind of answered two questions in one. So I would say one of them is the redundancy,
yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. So it's enhancing what people do. One of
Okay.
my favorite quotes is AI isn't going to replace
Oh,
you,
okay. Okay.
but the
The
person
biggest myth.
using AI will.
Okay.
So yes, I think that that quote kind of
It
answers
does.
that
It
perfectly,
does.
where it's a great tool that you're able to use, and we offer actually a digital receptionist. It's powered by AI. It's
Mm-hmm.
conversation like you and I are having. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
frustrating press one for this. And even though
Mm-hmm.
that is a receptionist, we always say, well, guess what? That allows you to hire staff who can focus on higher, like we mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
not so redundant tasks so that they're having that face value with clients. They're able to focus on money making
Mm-hmm.
activities within the business. They're able to focus on all of these other needs that need to be taken care of within the business, as opposed to, like we mentioned, those
Yes, yes,
repetitive,
yes.
redundant tasks.
So, like the AI agent that you have for a receptionist, do you guys like they answer the calls? Do they call? Can they make outbound calls as well?
They
Okay,
can,
if that's the
yes.
case, then that means that you can also create an AI agent that does sales.
So
Hmm.
we've not done that yet, but technically, when we get all the
Hmm.
telemarketer calls, um, we We have focused more on
Okay.
reception and inbound. We do have outbound
Hmm.
offering. It's just typically if you're on your phone and you're like, "Oh, I'm
Hmm.
getting spam all day,"
Yeah,
that's you have to go about it a very, very carefully.
that's true.
So we technically do offer that, but we've pretty much focused and honed in on the
Inbound, yeah.
inbound
But I mean,
calls.
what you're saying is true. I'm not trying to shout out this business, but I do get a bunch of spam calls per day, and I use a company called
Yes.
Cloaked. Maybe I should get them to sponsor this video, but pretty good, pretty good. Ever since I started using it a few months ago, yeah, the spam call thing
Oh,
has
nice.
dropped, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you
Right.
call someone and then someone answers and says, "You're calling this so person. Why are you calling them?" Something like that. Like, what is your purpose to call them? And then you give them the
Yes.
purpose or the reason you're calling them, and then they said, "Hold on a second, let me check with them." And then next thing you know, the call disconnects. You're like, "What? What just happened?" Oh, I thought I was talking to the actual
Yes.
person. That's the kind of service.
Yes, the spam calls today
Yeah.
are crazy, and our digital receptionist actually does have the spam blocking capabilities
Wow.
as well.
That is a good one too. There you go. So your service, is it like it has to
Mhm.
be it has to be a retainer type of thing, like a monthly subscription type of thing?
Yes. So it's
Okay.
just month to
And no
month,
contracts, or
essentially.
can they cancel anytime, things like that?
It's month to month. We just always say, obviously, like, give us enough notice to be able to cancel in a um an
Hmm.
adequate, I guess, amount of time. And then also just to make sure, I guess, when they're ending, just keep in
Hmm.
mind the billing cycles, right? And so that way you're not overpaying, feeling like you're, overpaid or
Hmm.
we're being underpaid. So that's the only type of thing we have, which is pretty standard across any business, is just as far as like cancellation goes. But it is month to month. You're not locked into, um, a certain amount
Okay.
of time or anything like that.
And is there a measure of business that you operate in? Like, do you do a business that has over? Can you do a business that has over 1,000 employees, or do you focus on a range of 1 to 50 employees type of thing with that AI agent you have?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So the average amount that we've
Hmm.
seen as far as clientele has been anywhere typically from 5 to 25
Okay.
employees. And I always say we technically can do I'm sorry, we technically can service businesses
Hmm.
larger than that number. We just haven't come across them
Okay, you
yet.
can.
As far as
Oh
so
wow,
yes, we can. We just don't have any
that is
existing clients of that
interesting.
size. So we can that large for sure. Or if they do have if they let's say they are 1,000 and they have
Hmm.
different departments, we can do
Hmm.
receptionist per department, right? Like
Hmm.
billing, reception, all of those sales, marketing, whatever, front desk. So that could be a solution as well. It could be multiple receptionists per department for larger
So, oh wow,
businesses.
that's interesting. That's very good though. So, do you focus on a particular industry like construction, contractors, plumbing? What
Yeah.
is your target audience look like? What does it look like?
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say too, so we haven't had any
Hmm.
solo entrepreneurs or clientele yet. We
Hmm.
can service them as well. It's just typically unless they're starting with some type of loan, usually they're just trying to get things started and
Hmm.
rolling and don't have the budget. That's my answer as far as like smaller than
Okay.
5 employees. So, as far as demographic, we have really focused in on any type
Hmm.
of blue collar work. If you were to say, hey, give me one industry, I would say
Okay. Okay.
electricians. But anything service industry, roofers, electricians, construction, pest control, HVAC, and anything like that, we work really well with. Reason being is they're typically
That yeah,
busy,
that's why. Yeah,
they're in the field working, their hands are full, but then they do require on
one thousand
bookings in order
percent.
to stay in business and to be in the field. And so we found that that works, that we
Hmm.
tend to work
Hmm.
really well with that
That makes sense.
industry. And then I have a friend actually who's an arborist. And when I mentioned that to him, he goes, oh, yeah. And they usually don't have the best phone etiquette, anyways. So that's just been a great thing for them to be able to offload, not have to deal with. They just have to show
I
up,
know that's not
do
their
the work.
gift
Yeah.
or their level of strength to answer calls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then I always say too, we can technically work with any business
Okay.
that you require a phone. So we technically can do that. It's just our up to this point, our proven case studies and things like that have
Are
been
you
blue
getting this
collar.
this rain that I'm getting as well in your area right now? Okay. I'm getting, I don't know if
No,
you're
I don't
hearing
think
it,
I
but
am.
yeah, it's
I can
raining in
hear
my
it. Yeah.
end. Raining heavily today. Anyway, okay, let's go to the next question. Those are fantastic answers, by the way. Let's see. So, what, in your experience,
Thank
what separates a good automation strategy from a bad one?
Let's see. Um, I believe it would be processes and not necessarily
Oh,
tech.
okay. Okay.
Because you can be given this
Hmm.
advanced CRM with all the bells and whistles or advanced system or
Hmm.
whatever it is. But if there's not a need for it or if there's not an understanding for it, you're not going to use it to the best
Hmm.
of its ability, right? And so I would say it comes down to the processes, right? Like we mentioned earlier, what are
Hmm.
repetitive redundant tasks within your business? Are you to the point where a lot of your staff is in the and potentially you as well as the business owner in the field and you do need to offload other tasks or you just
Hmm.
don't want to deal with other tasks like let's say answering the phone. I would say just defining what are the needs and coming up with a process that's going to fit and then there's so much tech out there. You'll be able to find something that fits that specific need. Make sure, and so that way it aligns and provides clarity and solution
So
to
like
the business.
an electrician that doesn't know how to use the internet, there are those, I'm sure. How would you
Mhm.
set up a
Yes.
strategy for your business, for their business, using your business, whatever you do, right? How would you come in and set it up for
Mhm.
them, knowing that they don't really know how to use the internet?
Yeah, absolutely. So it obviously depends on kind of the
Hmm.
severity or the need, right? But typically, if they're an electrician, I'm gonna guess if they're smaller, that they probably need
Okay.
somebody answering the phone. And so if they just wanted
Hmm.
our digital receptionist option, they don't even have to log in. They'll just get. We can have it as easy as that. If they know how to operate a cell
Oh,
phone, we can
okay.
have it as easy as them being notified on their phone
Uh-huh.
saying that they have a booking at this time at this address. And so I guess I would kind of frame it in that way of like, hey, are you able to
Hmm.
utilize a phone and read your messages at least twice a day, and respond if needed, or dial out as needed, right? If you need any
I
more information
see.
about that job. And so, um, yeah, that's where I would start, I guess,
Hmm.
with them as far as let's say they needed some type of CRM or
And
automations
this
within
CRM,
CRM.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, so me coming from
Hmm.
this case
Hmm.
management background, I'm all about being resourceful, and if it's not something we offer, let me send you to somebody that I
Oh,
know and trust
I
that
see.
can, or that can help
Right.
complement maybe what we offer. And so, let's say it comes down to
Hmm.
CRM and automations. A lot of times, we can help provide solutions, right? Typically with CRM, and this is
Hmm.
how ours is set up as well, you purchase and you have a login, but then it's up to you to build. And
Hmm.
so if you're not an engineer and you don't even, like you mentioned, oh, I don't even know how to
Hmm.
use the internet, right? Like that's something that we can talk about as far as payment, right? Or a lot of times I'm like, hey, there's VAs,
Oh,
assistants
okay.
out there.
Okay.
Find a good one that you can communicate well with. And this isn't something that all the time that
Hmm.
necessarily needs to be rebuilt, because once it's built, typically it's there, right? Like with your booking system, once that automation's set up, you don't really need to change it unless you change kind of your business
Okay.
operations. And so, yeah, if it's
Hmm.
not something we're able to help with additional, kind of a different
Hmm.
service, right? If we're not able to do ourselves, that's where I'm like, okay, where's your
Right.
budget? Or like, what are you willing? And so a lot of times I can put them maybe with like a VA or somebody who's more, I was going to say like an engineer, a developer, but those sound really scary. I essentially sit down, what's your budget? What's the need? And I can typically pair them, whether it's through us or
Oh, so
somebody
you do
else,
have a
getting
way
that
to pair
involved.
them with a virtual assistant.
So we don't offer virtual assistants. We do know
Hmm.
companies that
Okay.
do. And so that's not our
Hmm.
plan for every client, but I always recommend, hey, depending on your size, if you have a
Hmm.
project manager, or even an office manager, have them look at it and
Oh,
take
I
over that
see.
project. But if it's like, hey, it's just me, or it's me and my team of 5 and we're all in the field, I really
Hmm.
don't have anybody in the office, that's where I'm like, well, let's look at these VA
Yeah, the
options,
virtual assistant would be a good one.
potentially, or these other contractors that we work in partnership with, see if they can help you out. So it's just kind of, I hope that's not
No,
confusing. It
it's
really
not
is just
confusing at
kind of
all.
dependent on
Yes.
budget and what their needs are. And so sometimes it's something we're able to
Hmm.
do, work with contractors, refer to VAs, and
Yeah,
so on
that
and so
makes sense
forth.
to me. I mean, someone that it's at the end of the day, it's up to them what they want, if they want to scale or not, right?
Mhm.
If you want to scale, you got to
Right,
make the necessary changes, whether you know how to use the internet or not. It's not, we're not going to baby you. You know what I
right,
mean? Well, of course, we're not going to say it like that, but we're not here to baby you. If you want to grow, we're here to help you grow, guide you. This is the way to do it.
right.
And yeah, if the need be that he or she needs a virtual assistant, I think that's a very good suggestion to them. And it will help your strategy that you're building
Hmm.
for them, get implemented better. That makes sense.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I will I will say too, so me coming from, let's say, from the beauty industry to
Hmm.
the nonprofit world, believe it or not, I've had
Hmm.
experiences with CRMs and automations there as well. With the
Hmm.
beauty industry, the owner had everything with checks, and I was just using an Apple Calendar,
Manually.
and we had a
Yeah.
physical payment processing, very manual to, they utilize Vagaro. And so it was very user friendly. So I will say our
Hmm.
system's very user friendly as well. And so I didn't need any type of tech degree. Neither did my coworkers who our
Right.
ages varied, right? And our technical expertise varied as well. And so we were able to just, as staff, go in and create those
Hmm.
automations within that system. And then from the nonprofit world, I went through, with my span of being with that agency, we went through, I believe it was 3
Oh,
different CRMs plus hard paperwork. And they were actually trying a fourth one with a different
why do you
department
think that
first.
is?
And so I think
Hmm.
what it comes down to is nonprofits have limited
Oh,
budget. And so they're trying to work with who they can, but then it's not
yeah.
always great systems, or maybe they don't realize the amount of documentation that goes into it. So then it massively
Oh,
slows
I
down the
see.
system. But with that, our project
Uh-huh.
manager that we had on staff, it was her responsibility to learn each
Hmm.
system as they came. And then I think I received one training, and maybe they had kind of like drop-ins
Right.
sessions if you wanted more, but otherwise it was like, here's, you can have a test account, play around in it. And so a lot of it is very
Okay.
user friendly. It's not like I received crazy trainings on all of these
Right.
CRMs that we jumped from. I just kind of
I
figured it out.
see.
And so I will say that's, it's pretty common just to,
Hmm.
purchase it, and you don't have to be an engineer. You can usually set it up. Or if you're like you mentioned, I
Hmm.
don't even know how to use the internet. Okay,
Hmm.
let's put you on a plan. Let's figure out
So
another
does your
option for you.
system involve done for you? Is it structured like that? A done for you and then you do yourself type of scenario?
So are you talking about, when you say done for you, I just want to clarify. Is it like, let's say you're purchasing and you're like, I need
Hmm.
automations for my calendar. So you're saying, oh, I would purchase and it's already done and set
No,
up?
having that virtual assistant option, I would
Mhm.
say that's kind of a done for you.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So when it comes to
Hmm.
the digital receptionist, we get to know you and what your process is like. And so usually we'll sit down with that staff who is manning that right now, and we're like, okay, what is your spiel? Hi, my name is so and
Okay.
so. I'm with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so and so. And a lot of times if they are service industry, it's, hey, I only work in these counties, or I
Hmm.
only work in these zip codes. And so we'll sit down and say, okay, what do you run through in your in your typical
I
phone
got
call when
you.
clients call in? And so that we do fully customize for the business. You're not having to be an engineer. We're
Yeah.
learning your business, implementing all of that. So that way, by the time we're launched and up and running, you're
Right.
good to go. It's fully being
Okay.
outsourced and managed by us.
So is there an option where they are very internet savvy and that they can just set it up themselves? Do you have that option?
For
Yes.
the digital receptionist,
Okay,
we
okay. All
don't
of it
actually.
would be under the done for you. Basically, you do it for them, you set it up for them, and then let it play out.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. I
Yes.
got you. Okay. All right, all right. So, what are the key factors businesses should consider before implementing automation in their workflow?
Some
Hmm.
basic questions is, what's eating up your time? What's not being done? What's being dropped? What's actually
Oh, okay.
costing you money? We actually work, like I said, out working with other companies where we
Hmm.
really complement one another. If a business is running ads, typically they're going to have a
Hmm.
higher call volume, right? And if they're on the field and they don't answer, sometimes they're missing $80, depending on who you're going through. Sometimes they're paying
Oh,
$80
wow.
per phone call. And so if they don't answer, that's
Right.
$80 that they just threw away.
Well, not really because I'm
And
not
then
disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that some of them I don't think they pay if no call is all right. Like
they don't.
I think they pay
Yeah.
by and that's funny you brought that up because I have a book that I just bought about that. That's so funny. But that book is saying that
Yes.
you have to they pay once the phone is answered for at least I think some say 20 seconds, some say 30 seconds or something like that, and then they
Mhm.
charge them. So if it's less than that, I think they don't charge them. But I could be wrong. That's what I'm just saying it based on the book that I'm reading right now. But what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. So I don't know, as far as I know that there's a lot of different
Mhm, mhm,
ways
mhm.
to go about it. I was just giving an example of
Oh,
one of
okay,
the
okay.
clients that we have where they're like, "Oh yeah, I have ads, and if I don't answer, I'm throwing that money away,
Oh,
and then I'm not getting a
okay, okay,
job
okay. I
either."
got you.
And
I got
so
you.
I will say
Mm-hmm.
statistic wise though, we typically have it set within 5 seconds because typically if it's
Mm-hmm.
after 15 seconds, the caller will just hang up.
Okay.
So, but I'm not sure as far as the
Have
stats
you
I
heard of
believe you if it's
the
what you're
term
reading,
pay
but
per
I don't.
call? Okay, okay, yeah, that's what I
Yes.
was
Yes.
specifically saying. But the one you're saying is from ads. Let's say
Mhm.
they run a Facebook ad, right? That one is, I think, is kind of different from pay per call. I'm reading the book on it, but
Yeah. Well, I know there's like
okay.
Angie's List and
Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
different
So those ones they probably charge you per lead.
I think
Period. Okay, I got you. You're
Thumbtack,
right about that. It's true.
Thumbtack. It just it's not, and you're right, it's not for every ad. I think it just
Hmm.
depends which one they're going through. But I just know that from that one client,
Oh,
he was
okay.
paying
And
per
he'll
call.
lose $80 if he doesn't answer it. Ooh,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money
Yes.
to just throw away like that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes,
okay, okay. So
absolutely.
you solved that problem, and okay, I got you. I got you. Say less. That's a good. Yeah, that's a good one though. Because I was actually going to ask you that your
Yeah.
system does it help like can you infuse it with Facebook ads and stuff? But you just answered that. So now okay, we have a
Mhm.
CRM. Your system is the answering machine, for lack of better term, a digital AI answering machine, right?
So, it's,
Mm-hmm.
digital receptionist, and then we also have
Okay.
the CRM. So, if I'm just going to throw one serum out there that's common in the service industry.
Okay.
House Call
Okay. Okay.
Pro. We understand. So we actually just started out offering CRM, but we quickly realized that there's a lot of very industry
Really?
specific CRMs that work really well.
Oh.
And so what's really cool being in the technical space is as technology advances, we're able to implement and
Mm-hmm.
integrate more technology, right? And so we were able to add on
Mm-hmm.
the digital receptionist, and from that, we were able to see lots of value, right? All the
Mm-hmm.
stats that we just discussed. We understand we typically have clients who have
Mm-hmm.
done the whole VA route, and a lot of times they're not able to fully understand or represent
Mm-hmm.
that business properly. Or sometimes there are barriers, especially if you're living in a local area and you see something
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Texas, right? With them saying born, right? Instead of Bernie, you need to know how to
Mm-hmm.
pronounce maybe
Mm-hmm.
those more
That's true.
local
That's a good
names
one.
as well.
Okay.
So, or sometimes they're like, I can just write down a note and that's it. I don't really know how to answer any FAQs, or maybe I can book you. And so those are kind of the headaches that we're familiar with. And then as also the whole IVR with the press one for this, where you get that and you just want to shake your phone because you're like, this isn't getting me any
Right.
help actually. And
Interesting.
so we were like, this is a solution where we feel like the client is being
Yes.
well taken care of. They're actually getting somewhere and they can properly
I
represent the
see.
business. They can have a Texas accent, they can
Yes.
pronounce
Yes.
Bernie
Yes.
correctly. Those are all things that we fine tune in building and
And
creating the
that's where
digital
the
receptionist.
developing comes
And
into play.
so
You're saying.
yes, and so
Mm-hmm.
with the digital receptionist, if somebody's already using House Call Pro, that's where our second LLC
Okay.
integrate with AI in the name. We do have our CRM, and that's great. It works hand in hand with our
Mm-hmm.
digital receptionist as well. It just really depends on the
Mm-hmm.
business's needs, right? So it can have it all in one, it can have it integrated, and you can have both services or
Right.
just
Okay. So you
one,
have the option for them to use
whatever
one
the
or
need
the
is.
other. Okay. Okay.
Yes, one
Or
or the
both.
other or
Yes.
both.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. And when you talk about, I don't know if you want to discuss that, but you don't have to. But because obviously we're gonna
mhm.
still drive people to your website. We'll put up your website, the ones you want us to put up online. But
Yeah.
like when you talk about the steepness of their budget, what do you mean by that? Is there a range? How does that work?
Yeah. So, um, pricing, we always do the comparison of hey, if you're paying for a
Mm-hmm.
full-time receptionist well, and typically if you want to offer benefits and provide computer and cell phone and all of those things, you're usually paying at least 3 to 4K
Oh wow.
minimally a month. And so our starting package
Mm-hmm.
starts at $1,000 a month. Higher package is, I believe it's 1750 or somewhere in that. Sorry, don't
No,
quote
no,
me.
no,
I
no.
have
You're
to.
fine. You're fine.
But, and
You're
then we
fine.
do have
Okay.
custom
Especially for those
packages as well.
bigger
So if it's like
businesses. Yeah.
yes, that are bigger for sure. anything more custom, anything like, hey, we want staff on a rotating wheel to be assigned to each caller, that's
Okay.
considered a lot more custom. So we can price that out per need. And then if a business is just like, look, I just need somebody to cover overages because we need after hour coverage,
Okay.
or we get surges 3 months out of the
Okay.
year, or I just want them to leave a message so that way I'm notified of what the message is. We can work out those prices typically as well, but that would be considered kind of like case by case, right? Like that's typically the need is what we have already set up in our packages, right? It's what we've studied and we've seen to be working. But like I said, in those cases where it's like, well, maybe I don't need this all the time, or maybe I just need overages, or whatever the case is, we can sit down and have a conversation and figure out what that might look like.
That's good. That's good because yeah, it has to be based on the client's needs. Otherwise, the client's gonna just like cancel
Right.
completely if there's no option to, this is what I really need, and I don't really need the other stuff. That's good. That's very good
Right.
business
Absolutely.
model right there.
Yeah.
I really think you guys definitely need to consider those who are more business savvy or internet savvy to be able to set it up themselves versus the done for you part where you can charge a lot more. If it's something that you can do, I think you should consider it because not everyone wants to pay for done for you services. They feel like they can figure it out. I've had CRMs for my funding company where they have the done for you and then they have the do it yourself. Do yourself. If you want to do yourself, just set it up. They're all both monthly payments, right? But the done for you, they have to establish a little bit more things for you. You know what I mean? And you can pay for like the way they structured it. The do it yourself, you pay for setup fee or something like that. Whereas the done for you, you don't pay for the setup fee because they're going to do it for you, but it's a lot more expensive than the other one.
Right.
So like, it's a very interesting to me as a marketer. I look at it, I'm like, that's very business savvy right there. They're trying to be smart about it, but one is actually significantly more expensive than the other. So if you have the budget and you don't want to deal with it, most setups, just go with the done for you, bro. I don't deal with it. If you have less money and you have time and you feel you can figure it out, go with the other one. You know what I mean?
I have seen those options where it's you just purchase and build it yourself. I will say, and I assume you're going to edit the podcast.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to include this or not, but we actually provide a lot of support and builders for other agencies for the digital
Why would I
receptionist.
include that? That's pretty good.
And so
Pretty good.
it's up to you, but so yeah, I think that's part of with us doing the done for you. A lot of people, like you mentioned, they're not engineers, and so we just figured, we're doing this for some other agencies as well, providing support or building, and so
And also,
I guess
you can also even make it better if you can do a white label service. You guys can offer a white label service where someone can just copy your system and sell it as their own. You're making money, they're making money, or whatever. Just like Go Level. Isn't that what Go Level is doing? And I think they're making $500 million a year or something like that. Man, it has to be increased right now. It has to be because everybody knows Go High Level. Everybody knows it. I'm even sick of just saying it all the time, but it's something that you should also consider, to grow and scale eventually when you get to that point.
Yeah. And I will say with the other agency owners too, is typically we're okay with doing that because we have a relationship with a business coach, and that's where she had recommended like, hey, figure out a niche. And so that's where that kind of stemmed from with service industry and engineers, or I'm sorry, electricians and all of that. And so with some of these other agencies that we're providing support for or building for, right, they're usually in different industries, especially with HIPAA is a whole, any doctor's offices type of stuff. That's a whole other world. And so we're like, hey, if you're focusing in on that, we have no problem if we have a client, refer them to you and we can focus on build. Like we're not having to do all the compliance and that side we can build. And so we've been able to work that out pretty well, whether it's something we can service or maybe they're doing all the paperwork and selling up front, but then we're kind of
I see what you
building and
mean.
supporting, if that makes
That
sense.
makes, oh, wow, okay. So when you're saying other agencies, you mean agencies that are like marketing the business? Like they're trying to market for digital receptionist, but in different industries.
hmm Or some,
Okay, I
right.
got you.
Yes. So it's either the same thing, but for different industries, or sometimes they're like, actually, we're a marketing agency and this is part of our offerings. So it's maybe not
Really?
their main offering. So they're like, well, I don't specialize in it, but I want to still be able to
So is
offer
it
it.
like, are
And
you white
so,
labeling it to them,
yeah.
or they just paying you one time to build it for them?
Sorry, again, I want to
Mhm.
make sure I'm understanding correctly. Are you saying like they're purchasing
Yeah,
it
like
from
the
us
service, like
or
you building, you developing it for that industry that they service, right? Let's say they're servicing realtors,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
do they purchase the rights of your company to sell it as their own, the service I'm saying, or do
Uh,
they just
okay.
hire you to develop it for them? They pay you one time fee or whatever.
Right.
The white label part sometimes is usually like a
Yes.
if you're licensing it to them, they pay you a monthly fee to keep the licensing. That's the white
Right.
labeling part. But you're also
Yes.
building it for them though.
Yes. So with them, it's not our system. It's a system that they have in place, which I believe is typically white labeled,
Okay.
right? And so my husband, or we're able to then
Yeah, yeah. You
build
developed
for
it.
them.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes. And so, yes. And then with
Mhm.
integrate over, that's something that we've built
Okay.
and developed from the ground up. And so it is a matter of like, okay, you have you're a customer, you have access, so that way you can utilize it. That's something that we've built up. Whereas whenever we provide any type of
Mhm.
support, it's their system. They're not purchasing anything other than support and engineering and on
Yeah,
our
that
end.
makes
That
sense.
makes
That
sense.
makes sense to me. So talk about, so is integrate different from what you've been talking about? All we've been talking about all along? Or is it part of it?
So integrate is
Okay.
technically a separate LLC. It does complement Rareform really well, kind of like we had
Hmm.
talked about a little bit earlier. It allows us to work better within Rareform, and so we just figured why not
Hmm.
make money off of this. And like we said too, we're not like we welcome working with
Hmm.
competitors as well. And so if it's other people in the space as well, this has been
Hmm.
a great resource for them. But that is what, like I mentioned earlier, like what allows the digital receptionist or CRM to be able to talk to other CRMs, like House Call Pro is one
Hmm.
that I mentioned earlier. So
Okay, so that's what
um,
integrate does. It helps the digital
yes,
receptionist be able to talk to the CRM. Okay.
yes. So
Hmm.
if you're a visual person, if it's like, okay,
Hmm.
let me make sure I have the
Yes.
camera. Here's our digital receptionist.
Hmm.
Here's, let's say, House Call Pro, right?
Hmm.
This is just an example. There's a bunch of other
Right, right, right.
ways you can go about it. In order for these to be able to
Yes.
communicate to one another, you need to bridge, right? Or
That's where the
integrate.
name
So that's
comes
kind of
from
where
too. Yeah.
when we say bridge, what that means, and then integrate. And it's
So
AI
that's the
in
one
the
that
name
you
integrate.
built. You
So
say you
there you go.
built that one from scratch. Oh, okay, okay, okay. So that
Yes.
one you also monetize it, and anyone that has,
Yes.
in other words, anyone that has a CRM and has have their own digital receptionist without hiring you guys, right? They have their own, and they need that interaction.
Right.
They can get it from you. To integrate one to connect it. Okay,
Yes.
that makes
Absolutely.
sense. Okay,
Hmm.
that's very good.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's smart though. So now that one, you should find a way to white label that one because you're saying you build it from scratch. It's yours. You
Mhm.
can white
Yeah.
label that one and have them license it out and pay monthly for it. Or maybe that's what you're doing anyway. I'm just
Yeah.
using big words, I guess, for that. Maybe that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah. So are you saying because this is
Hmm.
ours, like have
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
resellers
yeah. There's
for
a
the
word,
bridge
resellers.
or integrate?
But they'll
Okay.
resell it under their own business name if it's a white label option. Otherwise,
Okay.
they're just
So that's
reselling it under your business name, but now it's no longer a white label
right.
option. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So no, yeah, we're technically just serving. We're technically just selling
Yes.
access, right? And so we're not offering
Yes.
white label, but
That is
that is
something
something to think
definitely to
about.
think about because you make a lot more money since you created it from scratch. You make a lot more money for sure.
Hmm.
So let's see, what are some common pitfalls companies face when transitioning to automated systems, and how can they avoid them?
Okay, let's see. Definitely feeling
Okay.
overwhelmed. The staff, one, the owner or
Mm-hmm.
the manager or
Mm-hmm.
whoever's the decision maker in this, right? They can be all
Mm-hmm.
for it all day, every day. However, if they're going to be have staff who are realistically using it from day to day, making sure that it's something that that's friendly for all of them, right? So I mentioned kind of my experience with the
Yes, you
CRM
did. Yes, you did.
with previous roles. And so, like I mentioned, I was like, it was pretty easy. We were all as a staff with varying ages
Yes.
and experience with tech, we're able to figure it out. And so I would say that's definitely a need. And then also when you're even considering what type of processes you need or
Mm-hmm.
tech that you need to implement, talk with the team. What are pain points? I have a friend who works for I believe it's a property management
Mm-hmm.
um, company. So they actually had somebody from corporate sit with her and
Oh
shadow
wow.
her all day to see what her day to day looked like because they're like, we're going to start implementing AI in our day to day and in our software. And so, what are you
Mm-hmm.
doing that we can implement so that you can focus on maybe doing more leases, which is
Mm-hmm.
making more money, right? That's a primary revenue
Yes.
making activity or face to face with clientele, right? Improving
Yes.
client
Yes.
satisfaction. And so I would say those are definitely very important processes that need to be put into place whenever you're considering
Right. Transition.
a shift. And then also just being prepped be aware that like, hey, there's going to be a
Okay.
learning curve. And when there's any type of shift or surge, just
Mm-hmm.
prepping for that, right? Especially if you're migrating systems, it can maybe feel overwhelming or a
Mm-hmm.
lot for a short amount of time. But once that's set up, you're done. Like once it's done, and you're set up kind of for
I got you.
longevity of your business, right? Up until other maybe improvements need to be made or
Right.
implemented.
And
So
have you had those scenarios where people transition from, obviously you have, but so there've been instances where people transition from other systems to yours, and
mhm.
we was kind of challenging to them, or perceivably challenging or seemingly challenging to them, but then they got the hang of it after a while.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. Even with my personal experience, with
Hmm.
working in the nonprofit world, we got audited a lot.
Oh wow.
And so it was, I need this document. And it's, well, I've turned it in. Where is it? We've gone through all of
Oh,
these
and it got
migrations.
lost
And
somewhere.
so that's where I was like, so then finally, towards the end when I was leaving, they had switched to this system that was
Oh
beautiful.
wow.
It was great, so easy, had
Yeah.
eDoc, all that kind of stuff, timestamps. And so if you're implementing something like that where it's, hey, this is where we
Yeah.
need to be from the get go, you are not typically having to deal with all the headaches when it comes to migrations and losing
But
things
you
and
know
things
how it
like
is. The
that.
better the system, the more expensive it is. So, like you said, they had a budget. They
Absolutely. That's
couldn't
correct.
afford everything. There,
Yes.
there was also there was almost always an answer to your problem if you can afford it.
Right.
So with
That
AI
is
and
true.
machine learning advancing rapidly, how do you see automation evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. Let's see. I think it'll
Mhm.
kind of shift from task doing to decision
Okay,
support.
like management.
To well, like maybe some, but not just
Mhm.
completing tasks per se, but maybe recommending
Oh,
actions
okay,
based on
okay.
data. I think we've kind of seen some of that on
Mhm.
ChatGPT already as well. We're even going through emails, right? Where maybe, and I don't remember what the order was in this, but in emails and Gmail anyways, they've put it into place where it kind of
Mhm.
summarizes that email chain. And there's actually like recommended
Oh wow.
responses as well. So I think, and then just with ChatGPT, right, where it's
Mhm.
like the more you feed it, people I think sometimes get frustrated because they're like, well, I told it to do this and
I
it came out with
prompted.
something else.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to sit and you have those buckets, right? Like, let's say marketing, you're like, I want a marketing plan for my
Yes.
business for the rest of the year,
Yes.
whatever the case is, right? If you take some time to write a little bit about maybe what you've done already or what your
Yes.
business really offers or what point you want to get
Yes.
across in that same bucket, its knowledge continues to grow,
Right.
right, on that topic. And so I think what we might see is maybe like I said, with support with providing more decision support where it's like, well, this is
Right.
your data from last year and like stuff that we would typically do, or okay, we're having to sit down and insert all this data. I think that at some point it should be able to kind of track that a little
Right.
bit more on itself,
That makes
on its
sense.
own.
I think you're right. Do you think that AI would replace doctors?
I don't know. That's something I don't think it's in 5 or 10 years, but I don't know. I mean, we already have things that take
Yeah,
our
I mean, think about
temperature
it.
and scan, all of that's
Why
already,
wouldn't they though? Why can't AI
yeah,
diagnose you? Because obviously we have the equipment, right, to check you, and then they
right,
make a statement. You go see your doctor reads it out for you. Okay, yeah, we ran a test, right? Why can't AI do that? Okay, even
right,
surgery. Why can't
yeah,
AI? You know what I heard recently though? I heard recently that they don't broadcast this when it comes to death rates, but the number one cause of death is doctors making a mistake. You
oh my
heard something like
gosh,
that,
I think
right?
I heard something about that.
What?
Yeah,
They kill a lot of people.
it's probably their bad handwriting.
My God,
Oh my
man, it is
goodness, that's
awful.
awful.
So I was like,
Or somebody
dang.
not being able to read
If
their
that's the case,
handwriting.
then I mean, there's always a margin of error in everything. I'm sure with AI too, it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be perfect like
Right,
that, but I'm sure the
right,
margin of error in surgeries, I will say specifically, with if AI does it, I mean, I'm just assuming if he doesn't go rogue, like, I Am Legend or whatever, and kills everybody. But if that doesn't happen, I think
all the
that
movies.
it would mitigate that problem of making that error and killing
Yeah,
people surgically speaking. So I feel like it's possible. I mean, I don't think there's very many stuff that this AI cannot replace per se. But at the end of the day, I'm not
yeah,
saying it's going to replace humans. I'm just saying it could replace some fields. The thing about it is, if it replaces a field, a new field will be created, though. Just like I give an instance to someone about when I read the book, Think and Grow Rich. You remember? I don't know if you read the book, Think and
okay,
Grow
yeah,
Rich. He talked about how
I have it.
the car industry, wiped off the horse industry because they used to ride on horses.
Yeah,
And when the car industry came, no, I think they said that before the car industry came, there was something else. I don't remember right now, but they were talking about that. Okay, yeah, the horse industry was wiped off by the car industry, but then a new industry was created to maintain the cars, and mechanics were born. You know what I mean?
right,
So we
absolutely.
had horses, and then we had people that would shine their hoofs, their heels, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That industry was wiped away. And then we had cars, and then we have engineers, mechanics, all that stuff. But the point that we're trying to make is humans cannot really be eliminated. If AI eliminates anything,
Right,
a new industry would suffice to manage it. You know what I mean? So we
yeah,
shouldn't be like worried about it. The only thing I'm concerned though is it going rogue? Because I saw a video where they said that it was teaching itself to lie. Anyway, we have God. So God is not going to just sit back and let AI just kill us all,
yes.
I was just asking you, like, your company right now with your husband, do you guys plan on building it to go public, or very least to $100 million company?
What do you mean to go public?
Like to when you go public, it means that your business can be stocks can be bought and sold
Okay,
by the public. You know what I mean?
right, yeah.
So what's your
It's a
plan
good
on that?
question. So, and I thought that's where you're going with this, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. We actually haven't talked about that. So I really couldn't tell you. I'm being
Okay,
honest.
what about the very least build it to be a private company that is worth 100 million or generating 100 million? What are your plans on that? Are you guys thinking about that part?
Yeah, so money's great, right? Like we need that. That makes money go around, all that. That's how we live, everything. And I think that's great. I mean, to be able to say those numbers, that we've been able to reach success up until those numbers, right? That would be beautiful. I think, like I said, kind of with like, yes, it's a service and yes, it's an AI, but I see all the underlying potential of what that really means. And
Right.
so I think more than anything, being able to scale is beautiful. But me coming from the nonprofit world, having friends and family heavily involved in different nonprofits or being founders of nonprofits, I think we want to do more than just like money comes and goes, right? Everything we have is a gift from above. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
We want to make sure we're being good stewards, and that if we reach that milestone, great. But what's ahead? Who else can we help in our community and our loved ones and this and that? I think that's my answer. I think more than anything, that's more of our goal. That
Right.
just
To
that
help.
just like
Okay.
yes, just like AI is, like I say, it's a tool.
Hmm.
Money, same thing. It's a tool
100%.
to allow us to be able to do all of those
100%.
things.
Okay. We're almost done. Don't worry. That was just
Yeah,
like I wanted to step out of line to ask that a little bit. Now, are there
yeah.
industries that are still resistant to automation that you know of, and how can they benefit from embracing automation and systems?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was part of the question with you saying,
Hmm.
or asking AI and automation, what do I think that's going to look like in 5 to 10 years? And you
Okay.
gave the
Yes.
example
Yes. Yes. Yes.
of
Yes. It's
the
part of it.
car. I think that kind of piggybacks on this as well. And so an example we use, you mentioned the car, we actually use internet or the sewing machine to where it does it was able with the sewing machine they were able to mass produce these things, but that created other jobs, right?
Hmm.
Managing factory, restocking thread, things like that. And so with AI, it's
Facts.
kind of the same idea. Even with this year,
Hmm.
in January this year, if I would mention AI,
Hmm.
typically what I would get is, let me run. Like, I don't wanna hear
Right.
any of that, or I'm
Right. Right.
scared, or I
Right.
don't like that. It was not yeah, nobody wanted they were like, "Oh, no, thank you." Like, let me just skip past you real quick.
True
And
that.
so, we had to really be careful because
Yeah.
yes, it is AI, but we're like, "Look, this is what it can do for you."
Yes.
And so we had to really be careful saying things like, we give you peace of mind. Oh, we free up your time.
Right.
Oh, we allow you to capture every opportunity 24. And so we have really had to be careful with how we mention that. And then
Right.
now we're in August, mid August, and to the right audience, AI really excites people. And so it's been
Absolutely.
really interesting
Yeah.
how we've had to kind of pivot or kind of change our spiels, if you will.
Right.
And so, yeah, the right audience is really excited about AI and are all on board. And so I think that's more of what we'll see in the coming years as well. Just like the internet, it was kind of, or the sewing machine, kind of growing pains, kind of, oh, I don't know about that. But I think it'll really change the way we, like you mentioned, even with the doctor, it'll change the way we operate
Man,
and how we do work for sure.
I'm just wondering
And I
what's
think,
gonna be next though after AI. Like,
yeah,
what else is there before Jesus
right.
comes? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy
All the
because
futuristic films with the
yeah.
floating
Oh my God.
cars, and
That's crazy,
I think
man,
about
to even
that.
think of. I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely see that. But great
Yeah.
answer. It's true. You're very
Yeah.
right about it. Used to be frowned upon, I guess, per se, but now it's becoming embraced slowly but surely. And
Yeah.
it's inevitable though. They can hate it all they want.
Absolutely.
I actually know a friend of mine who's a software engineer, or software
Mhm.
developer, and he doesn't like AI. And that's strange, right? He does developments. I showed him I don't know if you know of this company called Lovable.
I don't.
It creates websites and apps for you, website
Oh, okay.
applications for you, like in minutes. So him and I were talking, and he's always telling me that he doesn't like AI or whatever. So I showed him the
Mhm.
Lovable app, and it scared him even more. I thought it was going to get him excited.
Oh, wow.
It
Mhm.
scared him even more because
Yeah.
whatever they developed, it did it
Yeah.
in probably 2 minutes or so. And he was
That's
like,
yeah.
what? And it was so beautiful, well created.
Yeah.
So I told him, bro,
Absolutely.
it's better for you to get to the point that understand that he's not going anywhere. Anywhere. It's here to
Absolutely. Yeah.
stay. You gotta learn it, bro. Otherwise you'll be
Yes.
at a detriment.
Yes, absolutely. You gotta jump on, or like that quote, or you're gonna be replaced, right? Because you're not
Absolutely.
efficient with
Absolutely.
with the tool. It's a tool.
Man, this is the
It's
example of
like
history repeats itself. But go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, just like the internet, like it's all tools. It's all the movies, all the scary
Yeah.
movies that we see. But obviously, with change, we're humans. So obviously, with change, and like you mentioned,
Hmm.
what is this gonna look like in the future with uncertainty?
Hmm.
There's always gonna be kind of that fear of the unknown, right?
Yes.
Or just with that shift. But you're absolutely right. And then I was gonna say too, to make sure I answer your
Hmm.
question. I think a lot of them they are fearful, right? Like, what about human touch or all the things we talked about already?
Right.
And I think start with the back end. If you don't want it to be your first touch with the company with a digital receptionist,
Hmm.
start with something like billing or
Mm,
reporting or scheduling, something that doesn't maybe seem as scary or as large, but it's
hmm.
still going to help improve the way that you operate. But that would be my recommendation is start maybe in those areas
In those
first.
areas first.
Or the
With your service, like the calls that they make or they answer, do you get billed through Twilio? Like, do your clients have to pay per minute, per, things like that? Or is it
yeah.
just a one-time payment for the month or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah, so that is a good question. It's kind of funny you said history repeating itself. How we used to
Yes.
pay for minutes and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
it is for minutes. With our base tier, I believe it's 21 cents per minute, and
Yes.
then with our higher tier, it's 18 cents per minute.
Okay, okay. The discount is applied as the higher you go.
Yes.
Yeah, because
I'm sure
I
you're
mean that's what it's supposed to be though. I mean, who's going to be paying for the
yeah,
minutes? Someone's going to have to pay for the
right.
minutes.
I'm sure if you're used to doing marketing
Mhm.
campaigns with text messages and stuff, I'm sure you're very familiar
Yeah,
with
yeah,
all
yeah.
of that.
That's actually why I asked because I
Hmm.
know that yeah, you don't just pay one time for, especially when it comes to calls, telecommunication.
Yes.
Yeah, the Twilio I know for sure would charge you by the minute, and setting it up is a headache. But good to know. Yeah, good to know. It makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What's the most surprising or unexpected benefit you've seen from automation in your own work or with your clients?
Ooh. That's a good one. I would say, like I mentioned, part of why we really focused on this particular service offering is because of
Mhm,
the success and the value that we saw that it provided. So, going back to, um, mentioning my parents
mhm,
had 6 kids and
mhm,
they were consistently involved every week in ministry.
mhm,
With my husband, his father, he had businesses. He was a full-time pastor of their church, full-time dad. Well, he was a dad to 3 kids. Obviously, he worked and things like that.
mhm,
So there's a lot on your plate, right?
mhm,
And so with technology, like we mentioned, it's a great tool. And
mhm.
looking back, my husband and I are able to talk and say, like, if technology was like this back then, how much more time would they have to have been able to wear all these other hats that they
Oh, I
had?
see. That's a good
That were
point.
important to them.
Yes.
And so and that aligned with their character and core value and all those things. And
Right.
so or where they felt called to, right,
Right.
at the time. And so that's been a really beautiful thing. We have one client in particular.
Mhm,
Obviously, it's been able to provide them with peace of mind,
mhm,
confidence of, hey, we know the call is going to be taken care of, even if my staff is out sick or I'm out sick
mhm,
or it's a holiday or it's
mhm.
after hours.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't just save time, it creates a mental space for them, and so being able to see the physical math, those
Right.
aren't things that we asked for per se, but just hearing clients come and say like, "Oh my gosh, because I was able to answer every single call
Wow.
and in a proper manner and get them taken care of and booked and all those things, I
Mhm.
was able to double revenue in a month."
Oh,
Just like
wow.
hard facts is really what has been fantastic along with what's important. And one client as well,
Mhm,
they with being a client, they got married,
mhm,
experienced being a newlywed. The wife got pregnant and having a baby, and he's a youth pastor and
mhm,
he's been able to coach football. Those are all other very important titles
mhm.
that he's been able to hold and wear and manage, along with being a business owner,
I see.
because of systems like this,
Right.
to where he's able to do where he feels called and what's important to him.
Right.
So, and you're a Christian too. It's like, yes,
Yes.
God's first, but then you have family and obviously providing and those are parts of taking care of your family, right? As
1000%.
well. So there's biblical instances with kind of our foundation, right? Of like being able to put time towards what's important. And so yeah, that's been a huge blessing. I feel honored to be able to help in that
Right.
capacity,
Right.
but definitely.
You know what just came to my mind right now, when you talked about the Christians and yeah, you're a Christian, but you still have to make time to, provide for your family is I noticed that Christians live too much and too much of everything is bad. But I feel like Christians live too much in the spirit and not enough in the physical. And the world is the other way around. They live too much in the physical and
Right.
not enough in the spiritual. And there has to be a balance, because you find out that the world is succeeding financially much more than the church, when the church is supposed to be the one to serve the world. If someone
Right.
is homeless, and you find out that people in church are all broke, and if someone in the world, a secular world person, is going to come and help them with a dent in it, I'm going to help you get a home, but I need you to do this, or I need you to do that. I need you to praise me. I need you to, all this criteria.
Right.
Whereas when God gives you a blessing, he doesn't ask anything in return. Obviously, you should be grateful. But it's a problem that we have in the church, and that's what's created faith strong Christians, but financially weak. I mean, as heck, and it's not good. You can definitely understand how the physical world operates while you're living, in the spirit. You know what I mean? I think we need pastors that need to teach that more often. We build our faith. We talk about holiness. We talk about righteousness. We also talk about you have to have a plan. You know how you told me, you mentioned that you have a plan for a plan. I love that though. Like, that's freaking amazing. I was going to ask you the last question, and then ask you a follow up of a round of question, I would say. So the last
Okay.
question would be, if you had to give one piece of advice to a business leader about automation, what would it be?
Ooh, I would say it's hard. Okay, one piece. Let's see. How about this? Start small.
Okay.
So, because that can mean all kinds of things. That can mean there's actually, I don't want to call them
Mhm.
brokers, but similar to brokers for systems
Oh, okay.
that you could even just sit down, have a conversation with.
Uh-huh.
They can try to put you in the right direction. Or if you're like, no, I do need automation, and I'm one of those things that I mentioned where it's billing or something
Mhm.
like that, start small. I think that'll help familiarize the idea and help make it a little bit more digestible because like we mentioned, that's where the world's headed. That's where the business world's
Mhm.
headed. And so you got to jump on or be left behind. And so,
Jump on or be left
yeah,
behind.
take that one first little step, be my piece of
Would you say
advice.
that the pricing is one of the biggest hesitant factors to businesses to do this? Or would you say that it's just the overwhelming nature of learning, a new system that is the hesitant factor for them?
And this is regarding digital
Yes.
receptionist,
Yes.
correct? That's a good question. I honestly don't think if you want me to pick one of the two, I
Okay.
can. I
What do you
think
think it is?
at this time, I think the biggest hesitancy is AI.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of the times if I do say or oh, we're digital receptionists, they automatically think, oh, you're a virtual assistant, or you do it yourself, or oh, you have a team that does reception,
Okay.
or they think it's the press one for
Yes.
this, and that's not actually helpful. And so I think it's the idea of AI is actually probably the biggest hurdle that we face
Really?
currently.
Is it like
Yeah.
people don't want to get involved with AI, or just the learning curve?
Well, I think because it's so new. I mean, there's integrations happening left and right, right? But we're still kind of in that beginning
We are.
stages, or AI has actually been around for some time, right? But people maybe don't
Hmm.
realize
Hmm.
that it's been AI up until
Hmm.
now. And so there's, I think, just a lot more education and knowledge around the
Hmm.
subject that's up and coming. And so I think that's the biggest hurdle where they're like, well, what does that mean? Or they assume it's press one for this,
Right.
or they don't either fully understand or they have a different idea than what we actually
Right.
are.
Right. That makes sense.
Or because it's AI, like I said, they think that that's scary.
Uh-huh.
And so, to the right crowd, we're fantastic, and to others, they're just like, well, I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure with as a matter. Even from January till now, I'm sure as time continues to
Yes.
pass and everything, that it'll become
Normal.
more common,
Yes.
and that probably won't be such a large
That's
hurdle.
a very, very, very good point. So it's good that you guys are already ahead of the curve on that. So whenever they come around, you're there. You know what I mean?
Yes,
They
absolutely.
say it's not who starts first, though, is who stays longest that wins.
Yes.
So it's not a race of I'm the first to do it. Are you still here 20 years from now, 30 years from now? I was thinking
Absolutely, yeah.
about Google, just
Mhm.
a different subject, but I was just thinking about Google and how Google has integrated itself into our lives so much that I don't think we can live without it.
Mhm.
Like, I think that business is unfailable now Like, for example, our pictures, you know how
Yeah.
our pictures are saved on their cloud system.
Yes.
Google goes out of business. People are going to be so heartbroken. Are you kidding me? What do you want us to do? All our pictures are going to disappear or something, Because I go back years ago and I
Right.
see my pictures, and that memory is so priceless to me, So
Mm-hmm.
just because they've stayed longer, they've become so integrated, and I don't think they can fail. I don't think the American government will let them fail, in other words. So anyway, so the last
Right.
question for you would be, if you
Mhm.
had two questions in one, it's what it is. So an advice you would give to your younger self. One is something you want them to do, and the second is something you don't want them to do. If you were to go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you tell them? Don't do this ever. And then something you say, you got
Yeah.
to do this. What would it be?
That's a little bit challenging because I think I do really believe like these decisions, even if they weren't the best at the time, helped prepare you for what was ahead into your current self,
Mhm.
right? And so, to my younger self, you're saying like even a year ago, or you're saying like as a child.
It could be. It could be at any stage in your life that you feel like there was a rapid change, an eye-opening moment, good or bad.
And is this business
It could be
related or
business
personal?
related. It could be family related. It's a very difficult question, but it's a very thought-provoking question at the same time that makes you
Yeah.
think. I'm not that old anyway, but I feel like I can definitely tell
Yeah.
you at a point in my life where I will tell myself not to do something that don't even think about it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And something I will say, man, I
Yeah.
wish you could have done this faster. Do this now. Even though
Yeah.
I might be doing it now, right? But why didn't you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you mine. One, I wish I built my credit a lot faster. If
Mhm.
I hadn't, I don't want to say if I had known, because I'm sure people told me, but I just didn't listen. But if I could go back and tell myself, I'll say, just build that credit now, bro. Now. You know what I mean? And I know
Mhm.
the benefits because I've benefited so much from it. So what would you say? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter anything it is.
Yeah.
Relationship,
Yeah.
business,
I
family, anything. What would it be? Because we want to know a little bit about you in that term.
yeah. Part of me wants to joke and say, like, have my brain fully developed at a younger age,
Why not?
because that would have taken care of a lot of those things,
Say
right?
it if that's what you feel.
Um, because they always say your brain fully develops at age 25, right?
Right.
For women
Right.
anyways. And so I think it would maybe be I think that I'm very resilient.
Oh.
Um, and I think my answer to that would have been maybe I have like two answers, so I'm like,
Hey,
how do
give
I
both. Give
connect
both of
this?
the answers. There's no right or wrong
It
on this
would be
type of question. There's no right or wrong answer.
yeah.
You just we want to
It would
delve
be
into your mind.
yeah. I think I'm thinking of like let's say college aged
Okay.
me, or right out of high school
Mhm.
type of thing. Maybe like humbling myself enough to ask those
Oh,
questions. One thing I think I could have told you directly was I went to UTSA. Love
mhm.
UTSA. I like yeah, a great experience at UTSA, one of the best decisions I ever made.
Oh,
Prior to that, I actually had lost my first semester scholarship because I like was so indecisive. I didn't know I had gotten accepted to 3 different
oh,
universities with
wow.
scholarships, and so I waited too long and I lost that opportunity. And
Wow.
so I think that that would have been something where it was like make to have chosen that university sooner, I think would have made my life at that point a lot easier for
Right.
sure. But I think, yeah, like humbling myself and seeking counsel or advice or discipleship, I think would have been a great piece of advice for my younger
Hmm.
self. I think that's definitely something that I've
Mhm.
done
Mhm.
now,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I'm thinking around that age group. And then you said piece of advice, and then what was
The,
the
the
other
two questions
question?
are one thing you want them to do and something you tell them not to do. Don't do this.
Don't take on more than I can handle. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, so you've had that. You've been there where you took more than you could handle. Huh.
Yes. I think if and doing everything on my
Mhm.
plate with ministry and volunteer in the community and school and work and like everything I was
Mhm.
doing, they were all positive
Mhm.
things. But I think if I would have really maybe set a little bit more boundaries, I could have
Oh,
performed better.
wow.
maybe a higher GPA, like things
Right,
like
right,
that.
right.
That's something I've learned
Right.
now, but
Interesting. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We had to dig it out of you. Yeah. That's good though. It's very subtle, but it's good. You know how they say the little things make the
yeah,
difference. I'm not expecting you to say, go and play that lotto card or whatever. You could have
yeah,
won that $167 million, guy, and do no, 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 no. It could be something like
yeah,
just could have I could have had a silent moment in my life. I wish I did that. So to think, it could be something like that. So simple, but it makes a huge
yeah,
difference. You know. But
yeah.
thank you for
I
sharing
mean,
that. I appreciate you for that.
yeah. I mean, sure, there's like other details, like, oh, maybe I would have done my wedding a little bit differently, or
Okay,
maybe
there
I
you
wouldn't
go.
have dated this person, or
Yeah,
whatever. Like, there's little
yeah,
things, but I think my answer was maybe more impactful as far as
absolutely,
like those decisions would have affected the future a little bit better, maybe.
absolutely. Simple. I like simple. And simple has worked for me so much. I don't like complicated stuff. I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
it. It makes my life difficult. I like simplified stuff. And some might say it's my lack of patience. Okay. My answer is I'm working on it. But man, just simplify it for
There you
me,
go.
make it simple. Why are you complicating
Hmm.
it? I feel like God is a very simple God. We
Yeah.
complicate him. But thank you so much.
If you've
Uh-huh.
ever if you've ever listened to the Bible Project, we're going through Heaven and Earth series, and it's all on Genesis 1. It's all about taking it slow and
Mhm.
digesting it for
Oh
what it
wow.
is. Your brain would probably
I
appreciate
would.
that type of
I
teaching.
You said it right. I love teaching of the word more than I love preaching of the word. You know the difference. I
Yeah.
don't like
Mhm.
screaming. I don't like it. I mean, I'm past that level in my
Yeah.
life. I like someone that's talking, just chill and breaking down the words, the meaning of the words of the scripture. I get so excited in my spirit listening to that than someone is
Yeah.
preaching and screaming, can I get an amen? Da, 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 da.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-mm. Doesn't I don't fancy it, and it's just my personal preference. But I feel like I get more
Yeah.
impact when the person is talking very low key, and I'm straining my ears to listen in, and then he's breaking down the words like you're saying. You guys are breaking down the scripture
Mhm.
of the book of Genesis. I love that. Woo! Like yes, give me more of that. And make it simple. That's what teachers do. They make it simple for you. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
yeah, man, I can't wait to talk to your hubby now and get to know
Yes.
side of how he sees things, how he sees business,
Yeah.
his upbringing, all that good stuff, and let's see what's up with that. But in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for coming on the pod. We're going to, man, I pray God takes you guys to greater places than you ever imagined. He's going to open doors that you've never even asked for. Just keep being faithful to him. I love that you guys are working together, as a couple and making things happen and making a difference in people's lives. God bless you for that. So guys,
Thank you.
we have come to the end of our show. So, like you to close it out for us by giving us I would say, a foundational advice to take with. It could be business, it could be spiritual, whatever the Holy Spirit puts in your heart. I'd like you to end us with that. Give us an advice.
Advice. Well, before I say the advice, thank you for
Ah,
inviting me.
you're welcome.
Great. And I met actually through a
Yes,
Christian networking
yes,
group in San Antonio,
yes,
which I think is beautiful.
yes.
I reached out and he was so gracious to meet with me. I love what you're doing. And then I got to meet him in person I believe it was last month.
Yes.
And he's funny, which I'm sure if you're watching, you've been able to see that.
Thank you so much.
And we both were like, man, you're tall. Like both of us were
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, you're both tall.
Facts,
But
facts, facts.
so yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed my time with you, and asking me to do this has been great. So I definitely appreciate it. I'll definitely continue to pray for you and your business
Thank you
as
so
well.
much.
And I'm excited for what we do
Yes.
in business and in life for sure.
Yes.
But piece of advice, I think it would be, like you said, kind of make it simple.
Yes.
Like just be. Like it's okay sometimes to be. Like sit and dwell of because like I mentioned before, like everything that we get is from the Lord.
Yes.
I mean, we've been in spots where we've done what we thought were all the right things, and they went
Mm,
totally upside down or not the way that we expected.
word.
And so that's really kind of redefined my lens of like, I have to make sure that in whatever I'm doing, I'm partnering with
Ooh,
Christ. And it may just be a
word.
marketing campaign. It may just be a sales call. It may just be whatever. Putting that, submitting that to the Lord first and foremost in all that you do. Small. This is the fact that I'm here today in this role and everything. That's by the
Oh,
grace of
wow.
God. Everything, my journey up to this point, all comes from Him. So that's my piece of
Wow.
advice.
Wow. Guys, I wish you guys are clapping right now because yes, it doesn't matter if you have the most money. You're not taking it a cent of it outside of this
Mhm.
world we live in. You have to plan for the next world while you're here, how you treat people,
Absolutely.
right? But also, you should start with how you treat yourself. But at the end of the day, there is a creator. He made you for a purpose. So you should find a way to connect back with him and commit everything you do into his hands so he can simplify your life for you, man.
Absolutely.
I tell people to say more than I should, but I tell people I don't have any problems in my life. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't. God has given me peace of mind, body, and soul, and I'm grateful to him for it. And I'm not trying to sound too Christian about it. He's helped me
Yeah.
avoid so many problems in my life that were, God creates boundaries, not limitations, right?
Mhm.
So within the
Right.
sphere of the boundary he's created for me, because my boundary and yours might not be the same, but within the sphere of the boundaries he created for me, I have not crossed those boundaries, because once I do cross those boundaries, right, the devil is easy work for him to strike me. So I've
Right.
worked my life in such a way that I stay within the boundaries that God has created for me. He doesn't let me,
Absolutely.
overstep them, but I have a choice to overstep them if I want to. And he doesn't give me
Mhm.
limitations. I can do as much as he wants me to do, but within the boundaries that he's created. Great
Absolutely.
advice, Sarah. It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming again to the pod. Guys, so
Thank you.
share, comment. If you have any questions, we're going to put everything about Sarah and her business on the screen so you can contact her directly. Okay?
That sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. Well, guys, have a wonderful day and we'll see you on the next one. My name is Great Akudo. This is Sarah Harper and talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.